Hello. I can always smile. I've been through quite a peculiar time of depression. I do get depressed, and we've had a full moon, and we've had some tricky things to get through. And of course, living on my own, it's quite a challenge because you've got no one to talk to about it. I just have to ride the storm. I didn't get up to midday today, and I've got a habit of when I feel very depressed, I wear these lovely cosy flannelette pyjama bottoms. They're very warm, you see, and they're cosy. I thought, well, who's going to see me? So I put these things on, and somehow, I don't know if they're comforting, I suppose. They're comforting and cosy, and I can get in and out of bed without having to take my trousers off or my skirt off. I've just climbed out of them, not just, that was earlier on today, but I thought, I must. This is really interesting. I must relay this because it's sort of one of my habits I get into, and it somehow feels okay. It's like giving myself some self-love, some self-nurturing, And I began to think of my friend Susan. Well, she's not here now. I don't even know where she is, whether she's still alive because she's older than me. But the thing is, I was told many years ago that there would always be one person for me. Now, I don't know the reason. I must be paying a very high price for something, but there has always been just one person. As you know from previous videos, I don't have many friends. I don't have any friends, actually. I mean, friends are hard, aren't they? Hard to find. I mean, this Facebook thing, friends. Friends take years to make, to get to know, and to have and to hold. You've got more acquaintances, really. I've probably got a few acquaintances. I suppose the person I've known the longest is a friend of mine who's the IT, the computer chap, and I think he's fallen out with me as well. I won't go into, but I've always had one person to just call on, and then I'll talk about my friend Susan to start with, because when I moved up here from Bristol in the West Country, I moved up on my own, by train, and a friend, an acquaintance, bought up my GTI later on. I got to the lodge house in Newark, and I was totally and utterly on my own, no furniture, nobody, and my little red phone. There was a phone there that went, and it was my dad ringing up to see if I was okay. That was a challenge. I didn't know anybody up here, and after a few weeks of kind of surviving, and I had to get the car out to go shopping because it was in the town. I thought I'd put an ad in the paper for a friend. And I did. I put an advert in for somebody who was spiritually minded and who wanted to meet up for a chat, and this lady called Susan replied, and she was from North Country. Very lovely lady. We had lots of laughs. I used to meet up on a Sunday mostly, but she was she was often quite depressed. She was on her own like me. She had a son, but she went through a lot of depressions, and I can remember she used to always wear this pink fluffy dressing gown. It was a horrible thing, and she knew it was, but she said, whenever I feel depressed, she said, I put on this outfit and it makes me feel better. And it does. Somehow this cosy woolen thing that's really had its better days, I got this kind of rebellion. You say, I'm going to look a mess and enjoy it, I suddenly thought of her when I've had took my trousers. I've got them on now, actually, underneath this posh outfit. So she was a friend, and we used to have, we had some laughs. She had a lovely little house, and she had this little giggle, and we used to we were looking for a man friend, obviously, and Newark, because it's a very small town, really. There aren't many men around anyway, especially as you get older. It's usually 4-1, so we were scrabbling a bit. I mean, we'd find one, and we used to sort of find the same ones. We used to try them out and pass them on. Well, there was one particular occasion, oh dear, poor Susan, she had a friend called Tony, the North Country accent, Tony, and he used to come up and turn up for meals. She wasn't quite sure she thought he was a government official. We never quite knew about Tony, but he used to come up for supper, and sometimes he wouldn't just turn up. He was a bit naughty, actually. Well, of course, he had other friends, I suppose, and she used to get very upset. And then one day they did finally fall out, I think, and I saw this advert in the paper, and I recognised the description. I thought, that's Tony. So I rang him up and we arranged to meet. And I had a very wicked mood on me, which was silly really because I did myself out for dinner. But I had a very wicked mood on me that I'm going to tell Susan I'm going to meet Tony at a local pub and she can turn up instead. So I did. I told her, and it was a disaster, you could imagine, because he was expecting me and she turned up the one that he'd actually fallen out with. Poor Susan, poor Tony. So I was a bit silly there because I missed out on a meal out, but I just couldn't resist it. I couldn't resist paying him back for what he did to my friend Susan. But we had some really good laughs, and she was a very good cook. And I can remember one night went round there for supper, and she had this huge. It was a huge cooking apple Bramley, because I live near a place called Southall, which is where the original Bramley apple tree it lives. That's where it started, in this place called Southall, and we used to go and look at this Bramley apple tree sometimes. Anyway, she had this huge apple on the side for some time, and I said, what are you going to do with that? You've got to cook it up sometime. She said, I don't want to cut it up, it's such a beautiful apple. Anyway, I went down there one night for supper and she produced this thing. It was an absolute delight. She covered it all in pastry and filled it. I can remember it now. It was a dream. And we sat there by the fire, because she had a fire. We sat there by the fire and enjoyed this wonderful brownie apple. And I think in the end, she had to sell up, or just move away from her house, because she ran out of money like I did eventually. And she moved down south, further away from me. I never got to see her again, really. We kept in touch for a while, but at the end of the day, as she used to say that, at the end of the day, that was her favourite saying. We had cards and telephone conversations. I think in the end she moved further away and we just lost touch, A bit of a mess today. My hair's a mess. I don't know. One of the ascension symptoms is your hair starts to make very peculiar shapes. I'm losing it. I'm finding it very thin. I'm getting so depressed about this hair that's thinning. Well, of course, at my age, things do go wrong. Teeth fall out, hair falls out, everything starts to deteriorate, unfortunately, at the moment. There must be a way around it, but I haven't yet found it. So, I'm feeling a bit of a mess. But anyway, it doesn't really matter, does it? Don't know anybody. So that was my friend Susan. She was just on the cusp for a while. And then I also had a friend called Julie. I hope Julie's watching, might be watching, I don't know. She was into the Aurosoma oils, and she was an interesting girl. I don't know quite what the friendship was about, really. I think it was yours that got us together. We used to take little trips out and have chats and coffee and things, but she was always a bit depressed, but she was very supportive. I mean, I've always had, say, one person that supports, comes around for a coffee or a chat and gives me a phone call. I had a friend called Mavis who lived in Bristol and used to have the most lengthy phone calls because she was an astrologer, and I think in the end she got fed up with me. But I think the most endearing friend, I would say, would have been Helen. She might watch the videos, I don't know, but she's quite recent. She comes from the North Country, from Sheffield actually, near Sheffield, and I called her my Yorkshire Angel. I don't know how I met her. I think I met her at a psychic fair, and we got on really well. Well, I thought we did. I went to visit a couple of times, and she was extremely supportive. Whenever I moved house, she used to drive over from her place, and she wasn't a particularly good driver, didn't like driving. I mean, it was quite a difficult thing for her to do, but she supported me in my house moves. And telephone wise, well, my phone bill was astronomical because I used to ring her too often, and she got upset with me one day. Said, "Do you know how many emails you sent me?" She was the only person in my life that I could talk to at the time, and I do think I was going through a breakdown or something similar. I just wasn't coping. My daughter had fallen out with me. My parents, I think my father had recently died, and there was so much going on. And I used to ring the psychic lines up. That's when I got into debt of £10,000. I kept ringing these psychic lines just for someone to talk to. No one could sort anything out. I was with this weird man next door who was a depressive and also a psychotic, and I was having to deal with all this on my own. And it just got too much for me. But I kept saying, I kept going, I kept on top of things. But because Helen, I used to call her my Yorkshire Angel, she was an absolute gem. Just going to have a look now. Absolute gem. And I think in the end, she became ill. She's very fond of the internet, and that was in the early days. And I think she overdid it. I think she used to watch all of it, and I wore her out. I wouldn't say I feel guilty, but I think I did overdo it because she was all I had, and I did probably wear her out. And of course it was this time my daughter pulled away and I had this weird man friend, and so I was really struggling. So I have nobody at the moment. This kind of friend, acquaintance, whatever you call him, the computer chap. Well, he's got a girlfriend and stuff. I mean, it's not that kind of friendship, but we've always helped each other out. But I think now he's got a girlfriend. Maybe it's different. I don't know. But he sometimes comes over at Christmas time. He didn't do this time, and I had to just almost technology. I've got things to do. I've got my iPad to top up. I don't know how to put the settings. I've got a phone I don't know how to do. I've had to work at a music centre. I'm not good at technology, so I'm still with all these things. And I took my car in. The speedometer was gone on my car, broken down. Took it in. Well, they collected it. It was there for 2 days, and now he rings up to say he can't repair it. It's got to go to a specialist, apparently. I thought, I'm sure it's not legal to drive without a speedometer, but I can't take it to a specialist. You've got to leave it there. How would I get home? There's so many complications coming in. So I could do with a friend. I could do with my friend Susan or Helen with a car to take me somewhere. That's what I need now, you know. So I'm stuck with it. I can still drive it. I mean, I don't go very far to do any speeding. I used to. When I drove down to Bristol on Bath to see my daughter on the motorway, I used to love speeding. I'm dreadful. And when I was in Italy, oh, I haven't told you that story, on the autobahns, I was doing 120 in my what was it, a Bellino? That's right, Bellino, with this weird man sitting next to me camping. Another story for another time. So yeah, I've been around, I've done a lot of driving, a lot of travelling, and I feel so frustrated having been here. I've been 8 years exactly this week. So no friends. I'm hoping for a new one to come along. Although the very man today who delivered my Sainsbury's, he was really, really sweet and helpful. I was telling him about the car. He said they can't charge you for doing nothing. They want to charge me for the hourly rate for the mechanics, which is about, I think, £75 an hour. He won't charge me the whole lot, but he says there will be a charge. Or why should there be? He's not done anything to it. So this chap advised me, he said, don't pay it. Just pay over the search and find fields. And he also suggested I could get a sat-nav, which would probably be good enough to I could see my speeds. I think perhaps on that note I'm having to go. Gosh, good timing, 12 minutes. Okay, my darlings, I thought that would be a nice light-hearted video to cheer you all up. The last video was a bit heavy, I don't know, I got a bit depressed about it myself. So I've made one that's got no relevance whatsoever to the esoteric, although you might find something in there, because friends are important. We all need somebody to help us through, don't we? And I have missed people, I haven't got a family, and I thought I've got to be my own friend. There's obviously a moral there somewhere, and I'm okay, I can look after myself, and you know, I buy myself nice things, buy myself flowers, look after myself, but it is the human companionship which is vital, really, isn't it? Okay, my darlings, I'm going to go now then. I've still got my pyjama trousers on. Good if you can't see them. I'm going to close this down now. I hope it's... Oh, I'm so fed up with this thing. Off we go then. Take care. God bless. Bye.